Today I want to create a magazine cover and place text behind my image. First I want to duplicate my background, right-click, duplicate the layer, and I'm going to name this Surfer Boy. Next I need to select my image so then I can apply a layer mask. I'm going to use the quick selection tool. Remember, this is going to look at it by pixels. And don't worry, if I need to go back, I can add in some extra parts here and there and do some more fine editing. Control plus to zoom. I can adjust the size of my brush. So if I click on plus, that's going to go and add some of these places to the image. Maybe I want to get a little bit more of the hair on the very end of the surfboard and some more of the shorts. Okay, and after he's selected, I'm going to go and click Add a Layer Mask. Now to make sure I don't accidentally move them, I'm going to click on my layer, and under the lock, I'm going to choose the one that says Position so I don't accidentally lock it. Now to make this a little bit better, I want to go and add a gradient overlay to the original image. So I'm going to click FX and Gradient Overlay. I have my gradient overlay and it looks really nice. However, when I think of the beach, I think of the sun setting. So under the style, instead of linear, I'm going to choose radial. And now it looks more like there's a sunset behind him. I could also reverse it if I wanted to. And I also made sure the opacity was around 30% or so for this particular design. To add my text, I can click T for text, and I can start typing the name for my magazine. In this case, I chose Wonderful Waves, but then I'm going to need to highlight my text. At this point, I can click the color, and I can go and try to find the exact color, maybe of his shorts, that I would like to use in this case. And if my fonts I can't see here as much, I can go to Window and Character on the right side, and then that will let me go through some of the different fonts. In my classroom, if we have some fonts that we really like, we can click the little star there and add those to our favorites. Some of you may be even able to go over to Adobe and download some of the Adobe fonts. So I've chosen the font Pepper Hands, and I can maybe make my font size 30 here, or I could use my scrubby slider. And remember, right here with the VA, that is the tracking. So that will let me either squish the letters together or add some more space between them. So this is our tracking, and that's going to adjust the spacing of the letters side to side. Another neat trick I can do if I want to align this evenly is I can click on my text. Under the Move tool, I can select the 3 dots, and I don't have anything under Align, but when I change it to Canvas, that will then let me make sure I have that exactly centered on the canvas. So that's a pretty good little trick to use as well. I've gone back and looked at my color code. In this example, I'm using Z00B1D6. And then a special thing I can do is over under the eyedropper tool. So I can click the eyedropper tool, and I can go down to the note. I can change the color. And over here, I can just write what color code I used. So that way, if I need to go in and check something, I will have that code there instead of having to go in and actually open up the design, click on the color code to see what color was used. So that's just a quick little note on how to use the notes. I can also go in under my text and add an FX for special effects. Maybe I want to do a really good embossed as well as an outer glow or a stroke. So even though I just did my text and I like that color, if I wanted to on my text layer, I could also do an effect. And just like I did the gradient overlay, I can select a pattern overlay. And I can go in and look at some different patterns to see if one of these would look great to fill in the text. There we go. So just to recap on our layers, we have our original layer, and then we duplicated the layer. On the top layer, we created a layer mask, and then we have to make sure that the text layer is between those layers. That goes with our stacking order, so we need to make sure that we've got our text between the two layers, so that way it will look like a magazine cover. Thanks for listening to another tutorial with Photoshop tips and tricks.